What's going on, Dead by Daylight family? It's your boy Negoose, and in this video I'm gonna be showcasing the strongest plague build. Okay, this is what I think is possibly one of the strongest plague builds you could ever bring to a match. I've used this build so much in the red ranks and it's incredibly strong. Okay, so I'm gonna be going in depth on why I chose these specific perks and how they synergize together, as well as I played a couple matches and I'm gonna be giving you guys a gameplay analysis of those matches that I played so that you guys can have an idea of what goes through my mind throughout those matches and why I make the decisions I make when I use the plague. 1,000 subscribers is just around the corner. For those of you who are new to my channel, I am a plague and hag main, and I do post informative gameplay for those killers. So if you do enjoy that sort of content, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. But without further ado, let's get into the perk build. Perk number one, we got Hex Ruin. Hex Ruin is gonna be one of our main gen slowdown perks in this build. What it does is when a generator is not being worked on, it's going to regress at 200% of the normal regression speed. This perk is amazing on the plague just because she's able to put survivors in situations of if they should hop on a generator or not. Alright, so what I mean by this is, say for example, if two survivors are on a generator and you pull up to that generator and chase them off of it, what you could do is puke on that generator, chase one of those survivors. If that other survivor decides to go back on that generator that you puked on, they're gonna get infected. Or if they choose not to go back on that generator, Ruin is going to regress the hell out of that generator. Alright, I also brought in Undying. We know Ruin and Undying is not as good as how it used to be. Undying is just there to make your Ruin stay up longer. Okay, so if your Ruin does get cleansed, Undying will transfer your Ruin to another dull totem on the map. So you have two chances to have Ruin. So for the next gen regression perk, we have Pop Goes a Weasel. So this perk is here as a backup just in case if your Ruin and Undying gets cleansed early. What Pop does is when you hook a survivor, the next generator you hit is going to regress by 25%. Okay, so this perk is not here for the early game. Okay, this perk is just there just for the mid to late game. And for the last perk, we got Tinker. So what this perk does is when a generator is 70% completed, you are gonna gain the undetectable status effect. This means you're gonna lose your terror radius for 16 seconds and you're gonna get a loud explosion notification on which generator is about to pop. Okay, so what you want to do is pretty much pull up to that generator and see if you could force survivors off of it. And this perk is incredibly strong, especially if you have Corrupt Purge, because you could pull up to a generator and get at least 1 to 2 downs with this perk if survivors are not paying attention. Okay, this perk isn't the best against Swift because they could call out and say that you're going over to that generator, but sometimes I switch this perk out for Discordance because Discordance is also one of my favorite tracking perks on the plague. What Discordance does is when 2 or more survivors are on a generator, that generator is going to highlight in yellow on the map and you're going to get some explosion notifications on that generator telling you that, hey, there are 2 or more survivors on that gen. So this perk opens up really good opportunities, especially if you bring apples and you want to play really aggressive. You could just pull up to a pool and power up with your Corrupt Purge and head over to that generator and possibly get 2 downs with Corrupt Purge. Okay, so Discordance is also really good. So that's it for the perk build. Let's get into the match analysis. Okay, so this is match number 1. As you can see, we spawn in on the Wretched shop. Okay, so honestly, I don't mind any auto haven with the plague just because there are some short wall loops on this map. On all auto havens specifically, that is quite easy to get Corrupt Purge hits on survivors. So I rarely ever play on Wretched shop, so I really don't mind. When you spawn in as killer, we know survivors are usually gonna spawn on the opposite side from you. Okay, so we know that the survivors are probably gonna be somewhere over here. So I'm gonna start making my way over here. As you can see, the more you play Dead by Daylight is the more you'll have an idea of where survivors spawn. This did take me a while to learn, and up until this day, I don't even know all the spawns. I do know some of them though, a majority of the maps. So I'm pretty sure the Cheryl here has seen my totem, and sometimes it's quite difficult to know if you should infect the survivor first or if you should hit them. Because the Cheryl was in a loop and I knew she had strong loops that were nearby, I just wanted a quick smack just so that I could get a fast down on her, okay? I didn't want to waste too much time trying to puke on her and trying to get her broken, okay? So you see she has Shack here. So if I did puke on her here, it would have wasted a lot of time because she does have a strong tile here. I swung way too late there, but I tried to mind game her there, but it didn't work. And this is a indicator for me that I'm kind of spending too much time chasing the Cheryl, and she does have Killer Shack, which is quite strong, so I do end up dropping chase here. It does suck, but it kind of, Tinker just gave me a notification that yeah, I'm spending a bit too much time on the Cheryl. So we know this is the Tinker gen that's about to pop, but I do hear this generator in the Wretched shop being worked on. So by the time I get here, it's probably gonna pop. So you know what? I'm just gonna pull up to this generator because I do hear someone working on it, alright? So yeah, as we can see through the border window there, the Claudette was working on the gen. And she didn't even know I was there, and I literally got a free grab just because of Tinker. And I made sure to puke on her to get her infected, and as you could see, Tinker goes off again. So there are two survivors committing to that gen, and I push them off of it. I puke on the gen, so if a survivor does decide to go back on it, they will get infected. And then if they get infected, I'll know because their avatar in the HUD will turn green. Okay, so we see the Nancy here, and she decides to loop around with the Claudette. This was good for me because this Claudette possibly could have went into second stage. And let's rewind. This is a mind game I like to do a lot with survivors. Okay, so where she's running, she's gonna come back around here and then possibly take the window. When you play killer, you're gonna have a red stain. So your red stain is like a cone shaped kinda. So the survivor could see this, alright? So what I do is I show my red stain here so that she could think I'm gonna come around with her. And she's gonna vault the window. And yeah, I double back here and I get a hit. So that's a really good mind game you could do sometimes. It doesn't work all the time, but it works majority of the time. So I get a trade here. I puke on the Nancy and get her up on the hook. And now we have two survivors infected, which is good. I come back here to this generator and I check it. No one's on it. And I don't know why when I was playing I thought that I saw someone come here. And right here is important. This is a very important tracking tool that the Plague has, and I feel it's very underappreciated, alright? And it's not talked about a lot. When a survivor cleanses on the map, the pool of devotion is going to highlight in white, okay? So right about now. Okay, so we got the indicator that someone cleansed, so you're gonna get a loud noise notification that someone cleansed, as well as the pool is gonna highlight in white, so you're gonna know exactly where they are. I do try to get that Claudette sick again, but she got away. I power up and we get a Tinker notification on this gen back here, so I'm gonna head over to that gen with no tear radius. So as we can see, this gen was sparking, so we know the survivor is not on it. And right here is very important, okay? Because usually if a survivor knows you're coming to a generator, they're gonna run away, right? So if they run away, they're gonna leave scratch marks. But we don't see scratch marks here. What do we see? We see a little pool of blood right there, all right? And you can see there are other little pools of blood in the grass. It's kind of hard to see, but you're gonna see what I'm talking about. So we know that this survivor is injured and we don't hear them crying, so it's quite obvious that they do have iron will. And yeah, there's a Jake. We get a quick down on him, with Corrupt Purge. And they get rid of Undying. So I come back in here and I do end up bumping heads with this Cheryl. And let's rewind because right here is very important. Okay, so I did bring in the 2 cooldown add-ons. When these add-ons are combined, they are incredibly strong when you have Corrupt Purge because you are going to have less cooldown after your puke. The Plague has a very sluggish end lag after you puke, both with your Val and Corrupt Purge, and when you combine both these add-ons, you're gonna have like 0 end lag. So as you can see here, after my first stream of puke hitter, I'm able to get out of the end lag right away and quickly send another stream of puke and get a down on her. So yeah, I wouldn't have been able to get the Cheryl down if I didn't have these add-ons, because after that first hit in the Wretched Shop, I would have been in that sluggish end lag and she would have had time to vault the window and possibly push over to a jungle gym or any other loop that's within this area right here. Okay, so yeah, because of the cooldown add-ons, we get a hit on her there. And now I'm in a good spot because this person's still on the hook and I have the Cheryl that is nearby. So the other 2 survivors now have to push in. And now we can see the Claudette here. Yeah, we see scratch marks here. So we know the Nancy is nearby, right? So I end up finding her there. Get a quick hit on her. And we got another quick down on her. I made a mistake there. I shouldn't have pushed far away from the hook. I should have immediately pushed back to the hook after I downed the Nancy. That's why this Claudette possibly got the unhook, but it's fine. I do end up hitting her and I gave her the quick 1-2 combo. What you could do with these add-ons, you hit them with your Corrupt Purge and then follow up with a basic hit right after. I puke on her, get her sick. This Jake's trying to get the Nancy up, but I failed horribly there trying to get that Nancy infected. And this guy has Iron Will, so I want to puke on him, and now I'm able to hear him. This is the beauty about the Plague. She can counter Iron Will, and we are in a Iron Will meta now that Strider has been nerfed. Okay, so the Plague is a really good killer to use right now in this meta because majority of survivors you face are going to be using Iron Will. This is a great way of forcing survivors into cleansing because if they do have Iron Will, they're gonna want to cleanse because they know that perk is pretty much useless. Alright, so right now this part of the match is very important because my killer senses were tingling right here. Okay, so I found it kind of strange that this Cheryl was right at the pallet, and we know right here, as you can see in the bottom avatar, here's a Claudette who's about to die on hook. And I'm like, you know what, let me wait a bit before I pick up this Cheryl, because I had a feeling deep down in my gut that this Cheryl had power struggle. And yeah, I wait until this Claudette dies on hook before I pick up the Cheryl. And boom, what do you know? She had power struggle with the perk called Smash Hit from Young Jin Lee. So when she pallet stuns me, she gets a speed boost. Alright, if I picked her up before that Claudette died on hook, she would have quickly speeded over to the Claudette, unhooked her, and Claudette possibly would have pushed over here and tried to get the Jacob, and they maybe could have made a comeback. Alright, so yeah. So yeah, I do get the Cheryl here. So this Jake still has this long loop here, and this Cheryl dies on hook, and I was not gonna break this pallet because I didn't want to give the Jake any distance. All right, I didn't want him end up finding I didn't want him to find a hatch. And you're gonna see what's about to happen here, because luck was on this guy's side. So what I'm doing right now is just building up bloodlust until I eventually catch up with him. And as you can see, the DBD gods bless this guy. The hatch literally spawned where you needed it to be, and he escaped. This is match number 2, and we spawn in on the Temple of Purgation. Alright, so I prefer this map over Mother's Dwelling just because it is a bit smaller, but it could be quite difficult because this map does have some very strong loops, and I find the loops on this map to be quite clustered up together. Alright, so it doesn't take survivors long to get from one loop to the next. So let's take a look at where our corrupt pools spawn. One spawn over here, which is like on the outskirts of the map, and the other one spawn on the opposite side. Okay, and this is why I say apples are good, because they will give you better corrupt pool placements. All right, so as you can see, the one back here, this one is gonna come in handy later on. So this is where one of our hex totems spawn, and it's in a horrible spot. It's literally right beside a gen, so if a survivor hops on the gen, they're gonna see it. Yeah, that's a horrible spot. And discordance goes off. So discordance is letting me know that 2 or more survivors are on this gen. I am not gonna take this way and then walk in the open so that they can see me, because they're gonna get a lot of distance and possibly push over to this side. All right, what I'm gonna do is come through the temple and come through a trickier spot where they're gonna least expect me to come through. And we catch this Claudette here. And I puke on her, alright? And that gen I puked on, whoever touches it is gonna get infected. And if they don't get on that gen, it's gonna be regressed by Ruin. So there goes Undying. So I just puke on some generators so that if survivors go on it, they'll get sick. If they don't, they'll just have to find a different generator to work on. So it makes them waste time if they choose not to work on it. And I come back here to check on this generator. And as you can see here, a Fengmin got infected. So that means she interacted with a generator that we puked on earlier. So yeah, someone is here. It was other Fengmin. We send a stream of puke on her and get a quick slap. And there goes Ruin. This is why I say Ruin and Undying is very inconsistent, okay? Because sometimes it could last you the whole match, while others, your Ruin and Undying can get cleansed when there are 5 or 4 generators left. Alright, so yeah, luckily we do have Pop Goes the Weasel. This is why I brought in Pop, because it's that backup just in case if your Ruin and Undying goes early, you could still regress generators and not have to worry about survivors just gen rushing the crap out of you. Alright, so yeah. So yeah, I was at this loop with the Fengmin, and right here is important. So as a killer, you have to make the right decisions in a match, and honestly, you gotta make sure you're protecting your generators. Protecting your generators is your #1 priority, and I don't want to waste time chasing this Fengmin while we know at least two survivors on this gen slamming it. All right, so I prefer to push over to this generator. All right, and we do have a corrupt pool right here, and I'm about to power up and push him off the gen. And yeah, we do find the Dwight. We get a quick hit on him. And a very quick down. So I did hear running and there's scratch marks, so we know someone is here, but right now I want to regress this generator over here with Pop. And we're gonna push back over to the hook. If you notice survivors are cleansing constantly, don't be afraid to just power up, alright? Because having your corrupt purge could end your chases quite quickly. So I respect the pallet there, because if I do get pallet stunned, I will lose my power. And we know she had life, but I don't know why I tried to spray her there. She did use a cheese for cover though, which was smart. And yeah, we got a quick down there. So yeah, gens are starting to fly now. So I come back over here and we can see the sparks on that gen. So I check here. And this map is, I noticed like for some reason sometimes like if you're outside of the temple, you cannot hear this generator in here being worked on. You literally have to walk down the stairs or drop down the hole for you to hear it. Or you could barely hear it. Your headset literally has to be on blast to hear it. So I do drop down here just to check and make sure no one's on it. And then I do go back up. So yeah, discordance goes off. So we know 2 survivors are on that gen over there. And we see this Fegman here. I just try to get a hit on her. And this is the beauty about Plague. Because she is so tall, she could shoot over any short loop. Plague, when she has Corrupt Purge, is insanely strong at short loops. Alright, and you never want to go to a short loop against Plague, especially if she has her Corrupt Purge. Yeah, so I tried to see if I could get line of sight on her, but I don't know what this Claudette was doing here. I hit the Fang instead of the Claudette, but that's fine. We got a hit on the Fang as well. Yeah, so that Claudette was out the game, which was good. And we do get another pop, so I end up popping this generator again. And I puke on it, so if a survivor touches it, I will know if they touch it because their logo will turn green. So as you can see right here, we know that this Dwight got infected, so that means he interacted with something that we puked on. And this is why I say the Plague is so good with her tracking, because she has many tools to track. You can puke on surface areas and no survivors touch it. You can hear them coughing and puking to know exactly where they are. And you could use your pool of devotions to see where they cleanse and know exactly where they are on the map. She has like 3 basic tools for tracking, and I feel it's very underappreciated. But I do end up checking back at this generator to see if he touched it. And I end up finding the Feng Min here, I think. Yeah, there she is. So right here, I couldn't hear her crying. So that means she has Iron Will. And she does end up literally getting away because of Iron Will. And this shows like how strong Iron Will is. I could have done a better job at tracking here, but bro, Iron Will was throwing me off so much. She dead-hearted there, which is a good play on her part. I tried to mind game her there, but she drops the pallet early, and she played this really, really well. And yeah, I don't know where she went. I didn't want to waste time because I knew survivors were on gens. And there's an infected Dwight. And yeah, he gets broken. So how can you tell if a survivor gets broken? You will see a green gas around their body, okay? And you'll see them start to puke. So this means that they are in the broken stage. So you will be able to one-shot down them, okay? As well as another way you could tell that they're broken is if you see their logo turn completely like red instead of green, and then you'll see like the broken symbol right there. So I know that this Dwight is broken. So I'm pushing from this side to cut him off so that he can get to this window. If I chase directly behind him, I probably would have lost speed and he probably would have got to this loop over here. I believe it's a TL walls. Powering up. So yeah, See, this is another way of tracking, but it's quite obvious anyways because she unhooked. But if you're new to Plague, please use the HUD as your main tracking tool when you puke on areas. So this Feng Min got infected because she unhooked the Dwight. Survivors can only spread the infection if they are broken, okay? So we know that this Feng Min was the one that got the unhook on the Dwight. So yeah, I'm heading towards the generator in the temple to check if it's being worked on because I couldn't hear it from upstairs. And if you look right there, you can see some scratch marks. So we do know that someone's down here in the temple. So yeah, this generator had a lot of progression and I just progressed it with pop. And I'm looking for the survivor. And yeah, there's a bunny fang. I got lost here for some reason, I don't know why, but yeah, it happens. And we see scratch marks leading towards the killer shack. So someone's on that gen, yeah, because we got a notification there. And we do have a pool here, so I powered up. And I go over to check on this generator. But at the same time, we do know someone's at the killer shack. I noticed, so I was listening to see how much progression that gen had. It didn't have much, so I just pushed back to the hook because we do know that someone was near killer shack. And yeah, there's a Dwight, okay? So we know the survivor is behind us on that generator and we know the Dwight's here. And there's a Feng Min. We hit her. And then I push over here because I don't want him getting a free unhook. So I end up getting a hit on him there. And a quick down on him. And as killer, it's very important to know when to slug. I felt like right now was the best time to slug because if I picked up this Dwight right away, that Feng Min that I hit earlier would have got the unhook and those two possibly would have went on gens or whatever, alright? But I know that if I down this Dwight right here, I might end up finding this Feng Min trying to go for the unhook. And I knew she was near the hook, that's why I shot a stream. And she moved away quickly, which was a really good play on her part. But I sent another stream of puke and got the down. So after I hooked the Feng Min, I'm like, she was on first hook. I'm like, bro, I don't want to leave this hook because she might Kobe. And bro, luckily I came back because look at this. She Kobe'd, got off the hook. Survivors have so many second chances, man. It's ridiculous. And yeah, she luckily I came back because if I didn't, she would have got the unhook. Luckily my killer senses were tingling and we got that Feng Min down. So I leave her on the ground because I know she has DS probably, so I just end up finding the Dwight and hooking him. So that's it for the video. I hope you found it informative. I hope you got some pointers when using the Plague. Specifically for newer Plague players, she is quite a difficult killer to use and does take some time getting used to, okay? So yeah, that's the video. I will see you guys in the next one.